Kiran, I'm quite worried about Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore.
I know, to be stuck in space
They had gone for 8 days.
8 days and to be told you have to come back after
8 months.
8 months. I mean,
It's
imagine.
literally that.
I
This
mean,
is Boeing. Boeing
Ex-
Starlink for you.
I know. And of course, the CEO retired with whatever lovely money you could make out of it.
And the whistleblower got bumped off.
Yes. But Sunita Williams is stuck in space and the other guy as well, right?
Butch Wilmore.
Butch
And you know, the
Wilmore,
thing
yeah.
is that now I read that Elon Musk, SpaceX,
It's going to be
will send them a vehicle because Boeing was sending something called the Starliner to rescue them
to
from
rescue them.
Starlink. But it had a lot of gas leaks and some hydraulic pressure snags and God knows what all snags.
And NASA doesn't want to take any risks now after the last two.
Exactly. And also
Episodes.
Boeing safety standards, a lot of Boeing planes, passenger planes have issues.
We are flying them all the time.
Yeah, so that is why the whistleblower got bumped off because he used to work at Boeing. And he leaked out the fact that there was serious quality check issues. But imagine, when you stay in space for that long, okay, NASA manages to resupply their food or whatever. But you lose red blood cells rapidly if you live in space beyond a certain duration.
Mm.
And that is a big risk that they run.
That plus muscle mass, plus psychological issues, plus so many other things. I mean, the worst I can think of is suppose you go a place and you think you're going to be staying there for 2 or 3 days and you're suddenly told like, okay, now you got to stay here for 8 months. My first thought would be like, hell, I have no clothes. But this is like...
Yeah, imagine even if someone was sending you to the Maldives.
Yeah.
This is space. Someone said, now you're staying here at the Four Seasons Maldives.
For 8
and
months.
you have to be here for 8 months now.
We die.
Right?
We die.
Imagine this is inside a little
With all the issues...
spaceship.
With all the issues that you have in space, I mean, you can't pee properly, you can't walk properly.
And the water you drink is made from your pee.
Pee. All
Just
these
knowing
things.
that. I don't care how it tastes. Just knowing that.
But I'm sure they've overcome that bit of stigma right now.
Yeah, but how do you perform your natural biological functions?
For so much time at a stretch.
So, Kiran, who is the longest person who stayed in the space for some 400 days or whatever?
Not 400. This guy, Oleg Kononenko, who's a Russian cosmonaut. They say
Okay.
cosmonauts, not astronauts. I suddenly realized that.
Right.
Very
What's
early
the
in my
difference?
life. I don't know. They do the same thing. It's just whatever. But he has spent 878 non-continuous days on board the ISS.
870.
8 days. 878 days.
And has he returned a full psycho?
He has not yet returned. He will be staying there indefinitely until whatever he has been sent for has been done. Russian
Imagine
cosmonaut.
like having a fight with your wife and saying, "मैं space में जा रहा हूँ."
I know. That's better than the man who pretended to be deaf. Now, so I talked to his
You
wife.
talked about him. That deaf guy is better. This guy punished himself. But you have to hate your life or be obsessed with exploring life. They're not even exploring. They're just
There's not-
experimental bodies. They're guinea pigs. You have to be obsessed with being that sort of a subject of research to want to lock yourself up in a space. ISS is the size of a football field, apparently.
It is. And also, maybe, like whoever craves solitude is either a god or a beast. So you have to be either a god or a beast to want to be alone for such extended periods of time in space with nothing around
It's
you.
crazy. And don't you get like claustrophobic? There's no sunlight. You can't step outside for some fresh air. What
There
would
is
it
a
do to
lot
your
of
brain?
sunlight. There's a
No.
lot of
No,
sunlight.
not like that kind of sunlight. You know
It's
what I'm saying?
glaring at
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
every time this
I'm just.
comes into the...
I'm saying that. What does it do to your mind? Just not
Yeah,
being in
there's
the
a lot-
great outdoors.
Yeah, there is a lot of...
Think of us during the lockdown, but worse.
Much worse because then at least...
Like infinitely worse.
Yeah. Because there is the other issues of bodily functions. There are the other issues of, as you
What
said...
does it do to your muscles and your bones?
Your muscles go for a toss. Your bones go for a toss. Your eyesight gets bad. Your
And mental health unravels?
Yeah, their mind will unravel. I mean, we've had so many science fiction movies telling you about what happens when people are on space stations
Exactly.
going mad. In fact, they had a experiment in a desert in South America. I mean, America or somewhere, or in the deserts of North America, to create a Mars habitat where people would stay for extended
Must be in
periods.
Nevada or something.
Something. in solitude, 4 or 5 people, to see what it did to their minds. I think most of them emerged wrecks by the end of it all.
Kiran, we've seen the kind of mental health disorder that have come out of COVID. And this is when you live with close communities. You were just...
With family.
You were with family. You were with home-cooked meals.
Yeah, except for those who were stuck alone, poor people. That was another thing.
But I'm just saying, by and large, even that has debilitated people's mental health. And staying for 800 plus days.
I'm sure they have some
kind of... You have to hate your life.
You have some kind of training. There is some type of psychometric evaluation that is done to see whether you're suited for that kind of existence.
But you also can't have remorse that, okay, now I'm not enjoying this holiday, now cancel, I want to head back.
Yeah, you can't
do you have that option?
No, you can't that. You can't the tickets are not open tickets to this.
Exactly.
Except when you're Sunita Williams.
It's practically a one-way ticket.
Yeah, Sunita Williams and you're stuck there and
I know.
It's like a one-way ticket.
Yeah, but she sounds cheerful.
You know, you are the child who grows up alone. And you have no siblings and you're stuck at home. You tend to read a lot, watch a lot, and you're very curious. And at the end of it all, it's just a huge mishmash of stuff that you've read and piled up in your head. That all has to come out someday or the other.
Kiran, I wasn't an only child, but I only read growing up. And I did some outdoor stuff as well, swimming and skating or whatever. But I read and I watched from the time that there was stuff available to watch. But then I don't have this kind of productivity. And trust me, it's not because of lack of self-discipline only. It's generally, I'm like, I don't know.
I think you channelize your thing differently. You write so many wonderful travel articles.
Yeah, I also feel like all the kind of ideas that have struck me, I'm like, okay, this has already been done and infinitely better than what I think I will do. So then I'll just let it slide.
So I love that. I love that you have that self-awareness in the sense that you know that this has been done. I am shameless.
No, but you're also attempting newer things. That's what I'm saying.
So I will think like, okay, I am doing this and it may have been done before, but I'm going to take a shot at it.
Lovely. Lovely.
Whether it works out or not, well, that's for the editor to decide.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't work out.
Why has anyone ever returned your manuscript?
Oh, plenty.
No, permanently returned, not returned to work on it and come back to them later.
See, you send out stuff, it does get rejected. Then you rework it and you send it out again. You rework it and you send it out again.
Correct.
So, I mean, stuff does get rejected. It's
that
part
we
and
know
parcel.
I've been rejected. I know how that
it's
works.
Part and parcel.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't work the first time. Maybe it'll work the second time, the third time.
You know, Kiran, because this book sort of is magic realism, it's actually fantasy. But these are sort of overlapping genres depending on the treatment. I recently watched Barzakh.
Oh, it's wonderful. You recommended it to me.
Kiran, the Barzakh is about... have we talked about it on our show?
We haven't. We've talked about it personally.
On Instagram, I think. So it's Fawad Khan, my beloved Fawad Khan. And there are 2 Fawad Khans in it, actually. And this father is wealthy. He's retreated into the mountains of Pakistan.
What a lovely place.
Vistas. Kiran, I think that this show should be watched just to enjoy the landscapes.
Yeah.
And the story may not appeal to everybody because it has dead spirits and ghosts and dead people who live amongst us and lurk around us. And a valley mountains that take away girls from the village. The disappearing girls. And a woman who's existed since forever. It is so fascinating.
So Barzakh comes after Zindagi Gulzar Hai, which was very, very popular.
And the same cast, right?
The same cast. Sanam Syed.
Sanam Syed, who is fantastic in Barzakh.
Wonderful.
And then there is, of course,
Fawad Khan. Yeah. For only that reason, I think everybody should watch it.
But he's not playing a hot guy in it.
But he's hot even if he's not playing a hot guy.
Yeah, but you know, it's a haunting show. And now I know you like to go to all these dark places in your mind. And I mean it as a compliment, strictly. But my scope of what I read and watch is not as vast as yours because I get stirred easily.
But this is hauntingly beautiful. This is exquisite. The landscape, the setting, the entire
it's transportive.
Framing is very beautiful.
You are in another world.
And that's what Barzakh is. It's a limbo land. It's the place of greenness, but it's not exactly grey. it's the in-between world.
No, it's in between.
India.
It's between life and death.
And it's written by Asim Abbasi. It's
Yeah.
directed by him, produced by him. And it's an Indo-Paco venture.
That's right. It's a
Very
audacious. It's been produced by Z Zindagi.
Zindagi. And it's lovely.
Kudos to them. And it's an audacious effort to produce, a show. See, this is a genre that's not been attempted in both our countries. It's magic realism. It's an abstract sort of a story in places. And
it's difficult to comprehend sometimes in bits.
It is. So when it starts, it actually leaves you a bit dazed. And then I texted my friend who had recommended it to me, and he said, just keep watching. You'll get it. And then, of course, my travel started in between, so I had to give it up. But I'm going to complete the show now. I think I'm on the 4th episode now.
Okay, I'm still.
You can watch it. You can watch it on YouTube. You don't even need to be on Z5 to watch it.
Okay.
Or Z Zindagi or whatever. They have it on YouTube as well.
Okay.
High resolution, really well done stuff. Yeah.
I was watching it on YouTube. I watched the first episode. You recommended it. Coral recommended.
Oh, you did watch it.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I loved it, but I just watched a bit of the first episode. I'm trying to finish The Bear. Season 3 has dropped.
I haven't watched The Bear even one. That's also disturbing.
It's disturbing. It's dark. It's disturbing. It's funny also in bits. And it's very gritty. I think I'm quite enjoying the show.
I can't watch gritty. Kiran, I have something to say. And this is just my own theory. When people say, how come there's so much rage in people today? There's more rape and murder than there's ever been done. You cannot argue and say it's being reported more often now. While that is partly true, it's still as rampant despite more awareness and everything, right? And people know they'll be reported, but they're still doing it.
And there are punishments for it.
Right? And we saw the whole courtroom scene that happened with Justice Chandrachud and the quick trial for this that started after the
Arjikar case.
Now, when we were growing up, and I'm not even going as far back as when our boomer parents were growing up. I'm saying when we were growing up, what did we watch on television? We watched Agatha Christie. We watched Jeeves and Wooster. We watched Bunyad. There was Laurel and Hardy.
Hum Log.
There was Lucy.
I love Lucy.
I still love Lucy. Yeah, I still love Lucy. And then when we were a little older, there was The Bold and the Beautiful, yada, yada, yada. There was Perry Mason.
Dynasty.
We read Perry Mason. There was Perry Mason to watch.
Very sanitized versions of life. Is that
there was the X-Files. If you have to really go into a genre that was slightly different. And there was your Bart Simpson and whatever. Beverly Hills 90210. And Mahabharat and Ramayan. Please pay attention.
Yeah. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Okay. And that by which time we were in our late teens. So what I'm getting at is that a lot of the content today is so deeply disturbing that somewhere I think it is contributing.
It's normalizing this.
Not just normalizing. I think it's contributing to the mental health crisis. I think it's contributing to a lot of crime that's taking place today because people want to be thrilled. They want to be surprised. They want to be disturbed. That's why people watch. I mean, you like watching disturbing shows. Tell me what element, like I don't want to watch anything unless it's true crime. That too, I can avoid. I don't want to watch stuff where there's a serial killer on the loose. That stuff just doesn't appeal to me. I want to laugh. Or I want to watch a real story, I want to watch a documentary, but then I might be in the minority. So I want to get into a brain that enjoys all these genres and understand what is so thrilling about watching people getting murdered and raped and bumped off and burnt.
I don't watch those.
But people do.
Do.
What is the Muzaffarpur? Mirzapur.
Yeah. And, what are the other ones? So many of them. Patal.
And all the gritty shows, but you're watching The Bear.
The Bear is not murder and rape.
Okay.
The Bear is of a very violently dysfunctional family. Not violent. They're very dysfunctional, the family. The mother has mental health issues. And there was an episode which I just completed the other day called Fishes, in which she spent the entire day creating this most elaborate Christmas dinner. And she's unraveling through it. And then she says...
Okay, that's interesting.
She says a couple of lines, which is, I make things beautiful for everyone. Nobody makes anything beautiful for me.
That's lovely.
And at the end of it all, the dinner is happening. People are fighting with each other, screaming, because obviously she's passed on this dysfunctionality to her kids and whatever. She drives her car through the door, through the wall of the house. I think just trying to get attention or, look at me. So that's the.
So then that's a new nuanced story.
Yeah, it's a
right?
very layered and very nuanced story. And I'm not talking about the in-your-face violence and brutality that we see in some of our OTT shows.
Even Game of Thrones, as amazing as the scale was,
yeah,
of
there was a
production
lot
and-
of brutality and violence and
yeah,
unnecessary violence and
it's
brutality.
violence porn,
Yeah.
right?
I think the shock value keeps getting eroded. If we keep getting inured, then you want higher and higher doses. It's like an addiction.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
just think like there's so much rage in people today, and there's no regret and remorse. Even just a little while ago, someone posted a video of a car mildly bumping somebody's Innova, and that person got off and took the driver and flung him and bashed him on the floor.
Oh, mother
okay?
of Christ.
So I'm just saying that
But look at our video games, Shrinali.
exactly. So I'm saying violence sells, psychological thrillers sell.
Thriller, the thriller category is amongst the most. I think there's romance and there's thriller,
Yeah.
which are the best-selling categories. And in India, of course,
But I'm just
mythological
saying that there
fiction.
was a space and there was an era of softer storytelling. Okay.
See, the era of Rajnigandha and Miss Chamko is never going to come back. What was that? Chashme Baddu.
Chashme Baddu. Yeah.
That's never going to come back. We're never going to go back to the Rishikesh Mukherjee kind of television again. I mean, viewing again.
So I'm just saying that if you were to really consider, and maybe there's somebody who's done a research paper on this, but what we're consuming is affecting. And I'm not saying the way our kids are consuming Instagram and so it's affecting their sense of self. We've discussed that ad nauseum. I'm going beyond that. I'm saying crime,
Crime is normalized.
anger, discontentment. I mean, I don't know, does it not happen to you? When I watch a sad show, I become really sad. And I don't want to be sad unnecessarily. Some people like that, I think.
In whatever you watch, from the time of Greek drama,
Yeah.
is catharsis. Because even if you look at all the plays in the entire Greek, the Greek drama, it was always somebody getting a comeuppance and very violently. Look at Oedipus Rex.
No, of course.
So while watching that, you get out your sad
But that
feelings
is
and
what-
your scary feelings and whatever you're terrified about.
But Kiran, that is what good literature does, right?
Huh.
That's why we read Tess. And that's why we read all the books that we did growing up.
And 50 Shades of Grey, what did that do?
Yeah, that didn't do anything for me. But I'm just saying that cathartically, when you're speaking, of course, all of Shakespeare's tragedies, that is different.
Mhm.
That there's no perversion there. It's life.
No, but it is taken to an extreme, right? Who's going around poking their eyes out with whatever?
I know. But now it is that on speed.
So now it is a different era where it is normalizing this.
So that's what I'm saying. As it's normalizing it here, life is imitating art, art is imitating life, and people go around murdering people without remorse. The guy, the RG car rapist, has no remorse. That's a psychopath, by the way. That's like Indrani Mukherjee.
Yeah, that's another
Indrani keeps
cropping up into our.
cropping.
Recently, I've been seeing so many reels of her dancing in the cha-cha-cha or something in a little red dress with high heels and swaying around.
I think shame
And
on
then-
people who are actually going to continue to help her become the kind of influencer she's aspiring to become. Because you know what? You are just
Feeding the monster.
condoning all that she stands for.
At the end of the day, she is not acquitted.
The point is not that.
Yeah, she is not acquitted. Okay, I'm willing to give the benefit of doubt despite everything and say, okay, maybe she's innocent. But even then, you cannot lionize somebody. You cannot give them public platforms.
She's out on bail.
She's out on
right?
bail, right?
Exactly. She hasn't been exonerated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the fact is that
But
she
this is what I'm
might
saying.
be.
But this is the society. Na? People want to be. Again, it's called about pushing all kinds of storytelling to its very extreme. This is just a part of that. This is a part of a
it's-
perversion.
It's going to get more extreme. It will get more extreme.
My God.
And it will get more
Aren't I
extreme.
glad I'm not young anymore?
And it will get extreme to a point when it becomes so extreme that it can't be more extreme. And then we'll go back to the days of the gentler storytelling.
Speaking of which, Barbie, there's a new phone called the Barbie phone.
I just saw that.
It's a
today.
pink colored flap phone with very few digital features other than calling, and probably it has WhatsApp
Or
to
text,
encourage
yeah.
children to go back to
Yeah. I would like a phone like that.
I would like it very much.
I want a clam phone where I can clam it shut like
I used to
thump.
love that. I used to love the sound.
Disconnecting the
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get that pleasure.
You
with
don't
these-
get that. Also, this touch technology, I have a big problem with touch technology. I have a mirror in my bathroom where if you touch it, then all the lights come on. But if my finger is even slightly moist, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I feel insecure pressing the jabbing the thing on an elevator to call an elevator if it's just a touch technology. What was wrong with button technology? There was a satisfaction in punching in digits. Why do we not want to even make that effort? We don't want to climb stairs, so escalators and elevators, I get that. But we don't want to even dabao something.
No, we have become too lazy. I mean, we have voice commands now to turn the lights on in our house.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just call us.
Well, I'm not installing that.
I mean, I
I'm
have
perfectly
that,
happy.
yeah. But
Do you actually rely on that? Do you
no,
use
no,
that?
no. We don't. At the end of the day, it is switched off. And we
Yeah.
press the button.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But talking of watching, I watched something that was not violent and gritty over the weekend. Urfi's show, Follow Kalo Yaar, and The Angry Young Men, Salim Javed's. So,
Okay, this is like we are stretching between the sublime and
the ridiculous.
in the other way around. You first said the ridiculous and then the sublime.
So-
Okay, tell me about both.
So, I wouldn't call Urfi's show sublime by any stretch
I know,
of
I
the-
meant Javed Bhai. Javed
okay,
Saab, huh?
for both of them, yes, perhaps. But I had a very different idea of Urfi Javed. I mean, of course, I thought of her as this young upstart who's come here and she's sort of made a mark by wearing very different kind of outfits all the time.
Attention-seeking
Yeah,
clothes.
attention seeking.
Also creative outfits.
They
Yeah.
were creative. Yes, I'll give her that.
But it was all about attention, ultimately.
I love the fact that she's very open about the fact that I want fame and I want money. And I'm willing to do anything to get that. I love that naked ambition in her.
But is she the only one like that? There's so many
There's
people
so
like
many
that now.
others,
And the
but-
Kardashian stars, I mean,
Yeah, they set the tone. I
Yeah,
mean,
they
they
set
set
the
the ball
tone, yeah.
rolling all those years ago.
they lead this game. I mean,
At least
the
she's bringing some
creators-
talent into it. Some
Hmm.
amount of talent
Hmm.
and pushing off the envelope.
Sure. I believe she's talked about cosmetic surgery and everything on the show.
She has, there's an episode where she's gone and done her fillers on show. But then we've had that Bollywood wives who've gone and done their PRP and
I didn't
everything.
watch Bollywood.
Right, yeah. You didn't miss much. It's good fun, but you didn't miss much. So they've done that. They're normalizing getting all sorts of treatments done to your face. And she tells the doc very clearly, I want my face apart. I don't want even one line to show. She's 25.
What lines do you have at 25?
25. She's getting Botox and she's getting fillers and she's getting everything. Now she's got herself stretched out. I think of faces like, Sherilyn Chopra. Are we allowed to name names?
Yeah,
Rakhi
why not?
Sawant.
Yeah.
Even Sushmita Sen, who's
She's
done-
Sushmita is looking like Rakhi Sawant.
Yeah, they're all looking
From
the
certain
same now. I
angles.
mean, it's like a cookie cutter face where
Yeah.
everything has been filled here,
Yeah,
filled
pillow
here.
face.
And if you're going to start at 25, by the time you hit middle age, what is your face going to be?
And do you understand in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, there are girls, young girls who must be admiring Urfi.
Talking about her being a role model with her own sister in the show,
Mm-hmm.
her youngest sister, who wants to become an exact clone of her, which is drop out of school. Of course, Urfi dropped out because there were issues in the family and the father,
Abusive father. Abandoned.
abandoned the family and she had to survive, whatever. But this girl doesn't want to finish her graduation. She wants to come to Bombay and start her career in
Where is the family from?
Lucknow.
Oh.
So these are Lucknow girls, and you can imagine the courage it would have taken her to come
break out
from-
of the Lucknow mold.
Yeah, to break out, to come away from Lucknow and what was expected of a typical
Yeah, there's a certain image of a Lucknowi girl.
And I mean, she says like there was some photograph of hers that went on to some website where she was wearing a low cut top, and her father was told by relatives that your daughter's a slut, she's a prostitute, and this and that. And I think the rebellion must have started from then, and the father would come back and beat them all up
Oh.
after that.
Well, she
it's-
owns it.
and completely. I mean,
But I'm just saying that we've come to a stage today where if someone is doing something crazy to their body or their face or their life and then they own it, all sins are forgiven. Oh, she owns it. At least she owns it. I'm just saying it's stupidity. What do you stand for?
no, I like the fact that she owns up to her ambition.
No, I have no problem
Yeah.
with that. I have a problem with what she's doing to her face. That's it. I think that she's really creative. She's a really sassy and smart girl. I admire the fact that she has gone on with no godfather,
nothing.
no launching pad to make what she's made of herself. But at 25 to be doing this to your face, I'm only talking
Yeah.
about the cosmetic element.
Yeah, she looked pretty nice earlier. Now she looks like any.
She's a pretty girl. She
Yeah.
doesn't need to do this.
Now she's looking like, a cookie cutter face like all the rest.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That you can do everything to your face, and then just because you're admitting it doesn't mean that what you're doing is fine.
Mm.
Ultimately, it is your face, but you also will influence so many people.
And what are we aiming at? In fact, I remember a conversation with you where you told me about the women in Dubai and they all want the duck lips,
Yeah, trout mouth.
trout mouth. They all want that face. I mean, that's something to be aspired to.
Yeah.
And out here, you see it as well. So many women walking around with the lips that enter the room before they do.
Yeah.
So,
Complete trout mouth.
yeah, why? Why has that become a norm? Why aren't we happy looking different from each other? Why do we all want to look the same? And then, don't cosmetic surgeons have some sort of responsibility to tell
No,
their students,
that's the
their
thing.
patients, like, hello, let's draw the line here. I think you're doing too much.
Everyone is profit driven. Everyone is. And sometimes I look at people in the West, there are so enough actresses who've gone and deformed their faces after going to top surgeons in LA. And I'm like, you had the access to everybody that money could buy. And this is what they did to you.
I know. In fact, I hear about these procedure tours to Turkey, where Turkey is like the hotspot for
Is that right? I thought
cosmetic
India is the
surgery.
place.
No, Turkey. And they have full packages, travel, stay, surgeon.
How interesting.
And some of the videos, promotional videos, I mean, I got into this rabbit hole when I was researching about hair transplants. We will not discuss why I was researching for hair transplants, but I got into that rabbit hole then. And the before and the after are so incredible. I suspect they're using different women.
For hair transplants?
No, not for hair transplants, for cosmetic surgery. Like,
Possibly.
you do the facelift. There'll be this really old woman, like she's like 2 feet away from the grave. And suddenly there's this beauty, Jawan, Khubsurat.
Maybe they've done some face app on it.
Yeah, maybe face app, maybe it's a younger woman, maybe they've done jadoo on her. It's no way that, I mean, you can remove churiya, you can remove wrinkles, you can tighten sagging skin, but you cannot make an older person look young again. Completely
can't.
young.
See, the thing is, the way nature goes about changing and molding your face. Human artistry and, people who give you Botox and fillers are artists in a way because they know
Absolutely.
exactly how much to inject where. They can't match it because nature has its own way to create the right crevice and the right, hollow and the right filled out
Look,
throughout your
to
face.
get your symmetry, right?
There's a natural proportion to your face.
Mhm.
And what these people can't get right is the proportion. I mean, if I just stretch my face like that, it's completely going to change the way I look. And see, South Korea, in South Korea, I read that beautiful
If I had
collection
your
of short stories, If I Had Your Face.
If I had your face.
Yeah.
It was
That
quite...
was all about girls saving their money to go to Seoul, to perform surgeries, to change their faces.
And there's an entire tourism industry that's been built up around those surgeries there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see some videos of the waiting room, it's like you're in the zombie apocalypse.
This is the 16th
Apocalypse.
birthday, 18th birthday gift. That's what it is. That's what
Noses,
If I Had Your
chins.
Face was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Noses, chins, everything. Okay, it started with the double eyelid craze.
Yeah.
Just escalated from there.
Yeah. Then they were breaking their legs for their height. Do you know that?
Yeah. 6 inches, 6 months you can't walk. You get implants done.
I mean, imagine that. Speaking
I
of
mean,
which, by the
I
way,
would do it. I'm sorry, I would do it.
Kiran, if you go into space, it elongates your spine.
No,
You become taller.
but when you come back and you spend 3 months here, you become short again.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, so there's no point in suffering all that space for just 3 months of being taller. No, I would break my legs and all that.
So what do they do? They put stumps in there? What do
They
do?
put some grafts that will between your
Like rods.
something, and then it elongates. I don't know how your skin and muscle and everything also elongates.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah,
And
then
the
you can't
thing is,
walk.
all the stories where things go wrong don't get reported.
I'm sure plenty get wrong. I mean, you read about stories of somebody went in for a BBL and died on the operating table.
Yeah, but I
I
think
mean, died at least with a big butt.
I urge everyone considering any procedure like this to write in Google, the search engine, say, hip implants gone wrong, or nose jobs gone wrong, or lip implants gone wrong, and then look at Google Images. Before doing any procedure, do this, and you're unlikely to ever go near a knife again.
Yeah, or just look at some of the celebrities. Very interesting, two very different people. And you see Salim Saab now, and you know that he must have been a good-looking man in his youth.
Very good looking, yeah.
But you see him and you realize, whoa, your son's got nothing on you.
His personality, you mean?
His looks, his personality, and everything. He was like a stud.
He's known to be a very noble human being.
Yes. Okay. I don't know that part about it. But he came across as a very genuine person. With Javed Saab, it was a bit of a performance. But
Yeah.
I mean, he knows his angles, he knows his lines, he knows what to say. He's very polished and suave.
Mm-hmm.
But it's incredible at that point when nobody was even giving writers credit. They were charging 1 lakh more than the hero.
How amazing.
Yeah.
What a pity that they split, huh?
Yeah.
When they did.
22 best blockbuster hits.
Yeah.
22. Some of the
I wonder
biggest.
what the differences would have been like.
I haven't come to that part yet. I'm sure they're
Yeah,
not
I'm
talking
dying
about
to
it.
watch it. My God, Kiran, you've given me a lot of stuff to watch.
Yes, you
I have
should.
to still finish Berserk.
Yeah, I have to start Berserk.
Yeah, my book has gone into edit, so I can finally now watch
Lovely.
without guilt, though I have some other writing to finish. But speaking of which, congratulations on your new book,
Thank you.
on your
Thank
new
you.
novel,
Thank you.
The
Thank you.
Moon Under the Lining of Her Skin.
Thank you.
Kiran, congratulations that every year you have a baby.
I know. I'm
You're-
increasing the population of books by too much.
Yeah, but amazing. And I really want to look into, talk to you about your writing routine and tell me a little bit about this book. When I arrived yesterday, there was a copy lying at home. I'm going to go through it soon. But what is this novel about?
This novel is about, it's a dark fantasy. It's the first time I've attempted this genre. I read it not too often. But you know that I'm in love with the spooky side and the
Of course.
eerie and the surreal side of
Yeah.
things. I've always been into that. So I vacillate between, Woodhouse and King. So that's my spectrum
Amazing spectrum. Really.
of reading and
Yeah.
writing. So this is about 3 women of light. They have light in their veins, not blood. And one is
So
a
were they
fallen-
fluorescent?
Yeah, they're fluorescent. You can
They
say
glow
that.
in the dark?
They glow in the light as well. If they want to, they can
Wow.
control it. Okay. But one is a fallen angel, one is possessed by an entity, and one is a woman who has run away from home after escaping from a very bad family situation.
Where's the novel set, the story?
Vaguely North India.
Okay. So you have a named place.
I haven't named places. So it's the Doaba is there. There is a big city. There are the hills.
What is Duaba?
Whatever.
It's called Dhaba,
Dhaba.
where you eat.
No.
Then?
This is the area of this rivers, Punjab area.
Uh-huh. It's
Which-
called Duaba.
Whenever
I
you do-
remember your last book, novel you asked me to not read. You said, Shonali, I think that
it was pretty dark.
because you know how unsettled I get by
Huh.
dark stuff. But this is not that dark, right?
No, it's not that dark.
Okay.
It's not that
I
emotionally
will read
disturbing. So, but it's been an experiment.
Why don't you actually pitch this to somebody, this genre? And because India needs to now start making stuff in this genre, right?
Yeah, fingers crossed. One is
Because we
always-
either have absolute horror, right? Or we have crime. We don't have something in between.
Hmm. But I think they're not taking many risks now. They realize that a certain kind of thing works,
Mhm.
and they're sticking to that. And
Mhm.
whenever you get inquiries you keep getting these inquiries from
Yeah.
producers all the time.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a thriller?
Thriller, yeah.
Do you have a
thriller.
romance?
See, whatever starts doing well in the Western content that we have from there, then they want to sort of make that here.
Hmm.
Um,
So now we'll have It Ends With Us.
we'll have it end with us, yeah.
And what was the earlier one with Anne Hathaway and that young guy? I forget it.
Yeah.
About the age gap romance.
Correct, yeah.
We should have one. We should have one, of course.
I'm sure something is in the works.
Yeah.
Kiran, when you write a novel, this I'm asking you writer to writer,
Hmm.
how important is the environment to the novel?
For me, very much so, because I think the atmosphere, the location itself becomes a character in the novel for
Hmm.
me. If for the dark ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I think half your battle is won if your setting is right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can transport the reader to that particular place.
Do you imagine it? Do you read books about it? What do you do to create a more authentic setting if it is in a place that you're not that familiar with?
I watch a lot of videos of the place. I read travel stories about the place where you come in handy sometimes. And I think I do tend to do my research to actually get a look and feel of the place. Like, for instance, when I was writing a long time back, I was writing All Aboard, which was set on a Western Mediterranean
I remember, that was
cruise.
such a fun book.
Yeah. And I actually got people asking me, when did you go on the cruise?
I remember I asked you that.
Yeah.
My God, Kiran, that was in what era? 10 years ago?
Yeah, centuries ago. Dinosaurs
Is that,
were roaming out.
is that 10 years ago?
Around 10 years ago.
Around 10 years ago, yeah. I remember.
Yeah. So, but no, I haven't even stepped on a cruise. I haven't been to the Mediterranean at all.
Yeah.
It was just research.
Nice.
So, it's a lot of research.
But I mean, Lobsang Rampa wrote 10 books about called The Third Eye and something or the other, all set in Tibet, all about Tibetan Buddhism, but fictionalized and set in Tibet. And he'd never set foot outside of Scotland, which was revealed many years later.
Lovely.
Yeah. British
Lovely.
Library, the Great British Library.
Wonderful.
It has research subjects on everything under the sun.
See, that's the power of research. And at the end of the day, if you're writing, I think as writers, it's our job to do that, to get
Of
as
course.
much detail as you can.
Yeah.
And then if you're writing
I mean, that's
something-
what being an authentic writer
is. And then if you're writing something like science fiction
Yeah.
or you're world building with fantasy,
Mm.
you have your imagination, but then you have to flesh out your imagination, right? Which is why Tolkien is so admirable.
I can, I don't do fantasy. So Lord of the Rings, my God, I struggled with it. And then I just said, I was so young. We were so young when that book came out.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I can't do it.
And I went through it like one obsessed woman, obsessed
Yeah.
child.
Yeah, no. So that's not, even Harry Potter's not my genre.
Yeah.
And I used to always wonder if I'm the odd one out. I've met enough people who say,
No,
I
that-
can't read fantasy. I don't
that's
enjoy
fine.
fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like me, I can't read mythofiction at all. I struggle through it.
Kiran, how many minimum words when you're doing your first draft do you manage to write every day? Do you have a target?
So I aim very humbly for 200. No. My first draft you're talking about, I go chapter wise. So I try to tell myself I'm going to finish one chapter
Yeah.
or half a chapter
Yeah.
today. Because words are very deceptive.
Yeah, I
Sometimes.
can't do words myself.
Yeah, there are people who will sit and say, I did 4,000 words today, I did 5,000 words today. I admire you, but I mean, what do those words amount to anything? Are they like consistent? Will they be retained at the end when you're editing your manuscript?
Yeah.
How does it matter? Words are not important. Is your story going forward? Is your character
totally
going
true.
forward?
Totally
That's
true.
important to me. So it's chapter wise for me.
Totally true. Actually, yesterday, my friend Faiza Sultan Khan, she posted a video on Instagram, and she's an editor, right? And I know her professionally, of course, and now she's my friend and also my editor. And she said something very interesting. She said that, a lot of us write our first draft and become very quickly self-satisfied because we feel, oh, now I have my story, now I can take it easy. And some of us in a hurry pitch it to publishers after going over the first draft, spell check, grammar check, tweaking the story a bit, tightening it a bit, and then shipping it off. And she said, please do not send your first draft. Sleep on it, let it be, go over it. She said, first draft is only the beginning. Sometimes you have to go through 5, 6, 7 drafts before it actually becomes the distilled novel or fiction or non-fiction, either ways, that your book ought to be. And that's where, a good mentor or editor comes in. And today, I mean, when I think about my first drafts, oh my God.
I have a first draft that was actually published. My first book.
Then you're a very, very good writer.
My first book,
Which book?
The Reluctant Detective.
Oh, that was so funny.
Yeah.
That's my favorite book of yours, by the way.
Yeah. So that went in as a first draft, and I was foolish enough to let it go as a first draft.
No, that worked.
And
Penguin published it. Who published it?
Westland.
Wesley.
But
Tatas.
after that, you get increasingly self-conscious.
That is the thing. Yeah, I agree.
And just the other day, I was showing my son the current book that I'm doing, and it started in June 23. And it's been through 3 drafts already. I'm at 178,000 words. I'm on my 4th rewrite, and I know I'll do 3 or 4 more before I even dare send it to the editor.
What genre is that?
Science fiction.
Oh, interesting. That's nice.
So
You're not writing any more humor?
I have 2 humor books sitting with publishers.
Oh, wow. So you will keep up with your every year one book.
It depends.
My God, your productivity is awe-inspiring.
No, it isn't. I do nothing
But clearly
else.
not inspiring enough. I've known you a while now.
You do not want this to rub off on you. It's not a good life. You don't travel. You won't get to do anything fun that you do. You'll just be sitting at the desk and like, Shakespeare's monkeys typing out.
No, I just also feel
Hamlet.
that I think at this juncture in my life where I am right now, or I have been the past several years, there's much too much going on with everyone living somewhere or the other. Some kid in school, some kid in college, some this, some that. So I guess when I'm actually officially free 2 years from now, when my younger one leaves for uni, I will run out of excuses to not be very productive. So we'll see then.
We will come back to this conversation then
Yeah.
after 2 years.
Yeah.
When you have no more excuses.